Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We, me being S. Montgomery Grace, English Explorer Extraordinaire, Esquire Pending, and... Pending, yes.
I'm Hadley Austin, and I teach history.
And...
High schoolers.
are going to attempt Drunk Complicated History, where we attempt to explain very complicated historical events with a lot of people and things involved while we're under the influence of liquor.
Specifically, the Wars of the Roses.
Yes. And we're attempting to explain this to our friend, Landon. Landon, would you mind appearing on camera? So kind. Goodbye.
Oh.
Hello! He's so nice. I like it. There we go. Yes, perfect. This is War of the Roses, and it's going to get bloody. This is the war between the White Rose of York
and the Red Rose of Lancaster.
You can boo at home. Boo, boo,
No,
Lancaster, boo!
The Tudor Rose wins
Ow!
overall.
Stop that.
You're destroying your own rose, which is a heavy metaphor for how the War of the Roses went.
I'd like to point out it will reign supreme, Tudor Rose forever.
I would like to point out that this rose is these two roses combined.
It's a Tudor rose. Propaganda. They never actually did it within a time period. There was no white rose, despite what Shakespeare says. Richard Plantagenet says, I take a white rose. And the House of Lancaster says, I take the red rose. Outside of the what is that place called?
Middle Temple.
The Middle Temple in London. You can go to the garden where they took the roses. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
It didn't actually happen.
It didn't happen, but that's the story Shakespeare says. But Shakespeare is wrong. The War of the Roses, according to Shakespeare, begins not with Henry V and Henry VI, but with the deposition. Is that right? Deposition?
Deposition. You're the law student.
The deposition, deposing of Richard II, who had disinherited Henry Bolingbroke, a.k.a. Henry IV, who then became Henry IV by capturing and eventually starving to death Richard II. That began the War of Roses according to Shakespeare, but Shakespeare is wrong. Is that right?
I mean, I defer, really. Shakespeare's wrong because the War of the Roses...
Who does it begin with?
I mean, I would argue it begins with Henry V.
Henry V! The good King Henry V. Where's the crown? Here's the crown. I have a crown. This is going to be passed around a lot. Henry V! The scourge of France. Hey! Oh, this is the Plantagenet flag. Half English, half French. But when it was created, it was more aspirational than historical. Flags were important. It's very complicated. I don't know. But Henry V made it real. He invaded France.
Body parts.
And killed and conquered the Battle of Agincourt. And did so well that he got the French princess, his bride, and was appointed heir of France to the mad king of France. Said, you are my heir. I'm so sorry, my son, Dauphin of France. You suck. You rock. And Henry V...
I feel that we should take just a moment to imagine you're the Dauphin of France.
God.
And your dad has just named his opponent in war the heir to the throne.
You know, that's not the last time this is going to happen. I think it's going to happen 2 more times.
Yeah.
The poor sons are going to lose their airship. That's not a word.
Yeah, it's a word.
Yeah.
Now, airship. With an H. With a H.
The King of France was a mad, weak, old king. Henry V, hello, that's my namesake, Scotty, was a young, virile, amazing warrior king who had destroyed the French armies and conquered Paris and forced the French king to name his heir. He goes back to England, marries the French princess, impregnates her somehow. I'm young and don't know how. Promptly goes back to France to put down a rebellion, and then what does he do, Heather? He dies.
How does he die?
Fucking dysentery. He shits himself to death. Poop, 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 poop. Poop, 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 poop. Poop, 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 poop. Dead. You're dead. Stop hitting me.
Ah! His son takes over, sort of, technically, but not really, as a child. So ignore the mustaches.
He hadn't grown yet.
He had not yet grown mustaches.
He was an old man when he was young.
Sort of. He was an old man when he was young. He was an intellectual, a thoughtful sort. And
Not really a king.
there were many people sort of wanting to take the power that he was meant to have. And those people masqueraded as advisors.
Nah! But not quite yet, because he did have two good advisors. The two good brothers of Henry V, dead king. And they, while they lived, had a unifying force,
Mustaches.
and that was Henry VI, the baby king. They established a protectorship, and they waged war for him in his name, as he was the heir of France now, upon France.
They
And-
didn't wage war super successfully.
Oh, God, no! Eventually, there's a woman you may have heard of. She goes by the name of,
No.
where is it? We don't, there. But that's not her. Where's your flag? She has a flag, and she's known as Joan of Arc. She raised the siege of Orleans. We have a Joan of Arc flag. She raises the siege of Orleans and begins reconquering France for the Dauphin. And she's really, really
Charles.
successful.
Charles? His name was Charles.
I choose not to learn any French kings' names. It's my thing.
Just call him Louis.
Louis.
No,
Louis
his
the
name
Dauphin.
was Charles.
They're all Louis.
His name was Charles. I think.
But
I don't know.
Charles.
No,
We
Charles.
yet got
Louis
War
Charles.
Roses, and we're 7 minutes in. Folks, you have patience. Landon, you're brilliant.
Oh.
No, we're not getting to Henry VIII.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
The best part about
the two brothers
They
of Henry V.
they hold things together. One is established as
Henry
protectorship.
VI is like, I am a child. I should not be trusted with an army. Apparently, neither should my uncles.
The eldest brother wages war upon France, forms an alliance with Burgundy, the House of Burgundy. Burgundy betrays him, well, not before betraying Joan of Arc, who burns at the stake for being French.
The English burn her.
After Burgundy, the French betrayed
They try
her.
her as a heretic.
She was.
She was.
She was.
She was?
You just don't like her because she was anti-British.
Because she had
getting-
visions of God?
We're getting sidetracked. Yeah, that sounds like a heretic.
So did Teresa.
Eventually, the eldest brother of Henry V dies. The youngest brother, who's getting quite old and fat and corrupt, is tried for treason. And the day before his treason trial, this is true, he dies of a stroke, or maybe he was poisoned.
A lot of people get poisoned in this story.
Henry VI is an adolescent at this point and is going quite up. And the trouble is, unlike his father and grandfather, Henry IV, Henry Roanoke, he is not a warrior king.
He is an intellectual.
He is intellectual and wishy-washy, and the grandparent that he takes after is not Henry IV, but he takes after, in fact, the Mad King of France. He would have been an interesting priest, and he is a terrible king.
I think the most compelling thing about him is that he wanted peace.
He did want peace.
He wanted peace more than he wanted France. And maybe there's something to be said for that.
As time passes, his mental illness grows worse, and the military position of mighty England
Also grows worse.
also grows worse.
Which I think exacerbates his mental state.
And in 1453,
I think at this point he's wearing mustaches.
the great General Talbot in the region of France known as Aquitaine is absolutely crushed, absolutely wiped out. The entire English army of the ancient kingdom of Aquitaine, given to the English French king since Henry II, Eleanor of Aquitaine, magnificent queen.
Switching sides in the middle of a war is a weird choice, but I think also that's another story.
She got her merit annulled. The French king married the English king, and
Who treated her terribly. It was a weird choice. She wrote lots of sexy poetry.
Really?
Yes, really.
Wow.
And so did her daughter. So much sexy poetry.
This is new. In any regards, Aquitaine is conquered, and Henry VI. Oh, there's a crown. Unfortunately,
That's kind of how the crown fit on.
this is what precipitates this. It is a weak king. This priestly, scholarly king founds King's College, which I have my banner here, which oddly enough has the symbol of York here. When he gets the news of Talbert's defeat in Aquitaine, immediately falls into a coma for a full bloody year.
And during this time,
Oh dear.
his cousin,
Oh dear. Which cousin is this?
Richard of York,
Richard of York!
the first Richard of York we're going to talk
Of the
about
White
here.
Rose.
He is sort of interim king.
Interim king, because he's the richest and greatest man in all of England.
Twice. He's actually twice interim king.
It's true.
Oh, I think I just flipped off people in England.
Shh, it's okay. It's okay. We forgive you,
I
England.
did. Twice interim king. And he has a hard time ceding power when the king
We forgot
wakes
about the queen.
back.
The
I
queen.
think another thing we should note about Henry VI,
Oh dear.
in addition to the fact that he was very strained by having lost all the lands that his father gained in France, which is a heavy burden to bear.
Heavy burden.
We are all meant to do better than our parents,
Are we?
I think.
I hope.
Down with imperialism.
Who was his bride?
He married Margaret of Anjou.
Hello.
She was thought to be quite abrasive,
But I had no dowry.
and the thing was, since she was French, he thought she would have a dowry.
Awkward.
Quite a dowry. He
Oh,
also
dear.
thought
Oh.
that his marriage to her would sort of help him regain the lands that he had lost in the 100 Years' War, at the close of the 100 Years' War. He also thought that this marriage would allow him to, formally close the 100 Years' War. And unfortunately, it only did the latter. It didn't do the former, which
Oh.
pissed off all of the aristocracy and also all of the soldiers.
Yeah, we need
Rah!
Rah!
It stuck to my hair. Because the soldiers had, fought and died for this fucking French shit
Yeah.
that he's essentially walking away from by pursuing peace.
You suck. Oh wait, no, I love you. I suck. Wait, this is confusing.
I don't know that they loved each other. I think they just sort of had to do this thing.
They had kids.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, they had sex.
Yes.
Sex is not.
I mean, I know,
No.
but they had some sort of relationship. I think he loved her.
These are puppets. Let's call them poet.
Puppets of history.
At any rate, this marriage, while not wholly unpopular, did not achieve what he wanted it to achieve.
Let's try Hadley's whiskey.
And this just exacerbated his sort of impotent position as king. In some ways, his wife was a more effective military ruler than he was, but more about that later.
Why did he make this? Oh my God, I have maple syrup whiskey. It's so much better. Oh God.
But at any rate, the strain of all of this, the strain of losing all the French lands, the strain of being broke from having lost all the French lands, sends him into a coma. And his cousin, Richard of York, is interim king twice.
But this is the first time for a full year and 5 months, 17 months while he's in the coma. He is the richest man in England, and he is in charge. He is large and in charge. Well, he's not that large. But unless he is king.
He apparently had a beard that looked like this.
Protectorate of England, which does not sit well with the Queen because they do not get along.
He also becomes sort of symbolically a ruler for all the people who are disenfranchised with who is beginning to be known as the crazy Lancastrian.
The Queen had allied herself with the House of Lancaster, the Red Rose, which someone seems to like, not me. And she, with her red dress, became allied with a series of nobles that were pissed off that Richard of the glorious House of York had seized both money and power, while good King Henry VI was in a coma. And all seemed as though Richard was going to be conquering with all the money and power, so long as the king lied in a coma.
I mean, I also think, like, we should acknowledge that she was kind of a badass, ambitious woman. And she was kind of married to a dud.
Yeah. Like, she worked her way up.
And he was challenging, like, the one thing she had.
She married Henry VI without any dowry. The only thing she brought to the table was that she had the throne of Sicily, which everyone was fighting over, and you don't want to be declared king of Sicily, because that's no. It just means you're going to be involved in a war, and he never was king crown of Sicily. He was
King crown of Sicily.
King crown of Sicily. He was king of England.
Cicero.
No, Atticus? That's my dog.
Anyway.
Ooh, whiskey.
He wakes up.
Shit. And immediately...
Look at all these people who want power.
The crown is passed from the effective king right back to the rightful king, son of Henry V, the impotent and half-crazy Henry VI. And what does he do to dear Richard Plantagenet, son and scion of the House of York? Does he say, thanks for ruling in my stead? I appreciate all the good things you do. No. What does he do to him? Where does he send him?
You tell me.
Ireland! The land of sorrow and potatoes.
Not yet. There's no potatoes in Ireland yet. There's not a single fucking potato in Ireland yet.
It's just sorrow?
It's just sorrow. We should also note that during this what? What? Music and poetry.
Sorrowful music.
Don't make money.
The Pogues were there at the time. They were immortal. And they were singing the sad songs. The body of an American. That is not how the song goes.
I just also feel that we should note that not only is his crown literally falling apart, but that, like, it's kind of a big deal to have lost all of the French holdings that his dad got, and then also to be losing control of Ireland and of Wales, which was going on. This is not going to make sense to anyone.
To be fair, he lost France while he was like 6. Like, if I was 6 and ruler of France...
What if we were held responsible for the things we did when we were 6?
I played soccer, and I would just fall down in the mud, because I liked mud, and my mom would say, why are you doing that? You're making your clothes dirty, and I would laugh. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. You're a really sweet lady.
I have no idea.
We just found a mystery floor.
Wow! We need to get back to the War of the Roses, because
Probably a dog part.
Someone has been exiled to Ireland, and he is fucking pissed. He's pissed, right?
He's pissed?
He's pissed.
He's also got an army of supporters.
Oh, he does have an army of supporters. But we forgot.
And he does a better job of controlling Ireland than the king did.
It's true, but first, before he comes back, in comes Jack Cade. Let's kill all the lawyers! He's a peasant who offers up rebellion in the face of impotent rule of Henry VI.
I wish I could make him grab his crotch.
And Jack Cade leads a sort of peasant revolt against the elite gentry of England. Shakespeare posits him as sort of an anti-intellectual madman. He goes to the London Bridge. He's met by the king. Eventually, the king's advisors pardon all of his followers, and Jack Cade takes off and is captured and executed. He's a sort of Donald Trump figure, to be perfectly frank. Chaotic, destructive, anti-intellectual, a bit of a madman, really. Probably a rapist, much like I can't say
all of them.
All of them. But
except for maybe Henry
VI. I would argue that Henry VI is not a rapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was a good man. Too good, in fact, for his crime. Jack Cade is eventually captured and killed. That's the end of him.
Body parts.
Body parts! My dear Richard of York is in Ireland, and he's getting fucking pissed. He's still the richest man in England. And the Lancaster...
It's also, I think, worth noting that England is broke. So the fact that he's the richest man in England kind of makes him richer than England.
And richer than the Queen. He decides to come back and wage war. But he wages war not against the crown, but against the crown's evil advisors. And he brings an army of rebellion. And he marches down. And they fight a series of battles. and he starts winning. And the War of the Roses is on. They try to negotiate. There's an icy battle. And Richard of York wins. He starts winning a bunch of battles. And eventually, he wins so many battles that he captures the King of England. Captures Henry VI. And he takes Henry VI's crown and says, Henry, thanks very much. I am now effective King of England. In your name, of course. You're down with those awful advisors, like your queen, and the House of Lancaster, and I rule now. How did the queen take that?
Not very well.
Not very well.
No.
Richard makes a mistake. He holds up in a castle. And at the castle, there were 5,000 men. How to put this exactly? He is surrounded by 20,000 men loyal to the queen. Yeah. And he makes a terrible, terrible mistake. There's 5,000 men. He shows courage, raw courage, and he decides he's going to end this once and for all and charges an army 4 times his size. He has a larger army outside that is coming, but he says, no, I'm ending it here. And it's true. Something did end. Specifically, Richard
His life. I think, though, that it's worth noting that he did this after he had been named the heir to Henry VI. It was like, I think, a kind of act of hubris, really.
He disenfranchises Edward, the Prince of Wales, who's quite pissed at the time and is waging war against him. He says, I am the heir, not your son.
But he wins the fight.
Yeah.
He wins the fight, so he would have been King of England eventually anyway. Because it's not like Henry VI was going to live for forever. But he had to kind of like expedite the process. And in that,
Henry VI does get 3 plays named after him. Only man, 3 bloody plays. I've sat through all of them.
My point is, if he had just sort of like sat back and waited, if he had just sat back and waited, he could have been king. But no, he had to go like fight for being king, and then he was killed. And I'm not quite sure what the life lesson is there, because
otherwise, diseases. He might have died earlier.
We don't know. Anyway,
the opportunities while you have them.
I do view it as an act of hubris, but we are fortunate in this tale that though he died, his son Edward. Sorry about all the.
Oh, right. The throne is returned to Edward VI.
Yeah,
and the House of Lancaster.
Henry VI.
What did I say?
Edward.
That doesn't sound right.
And so now, Henry VI and his wife, Margaret of Anjou, must defend themselves against Richard of York's son, Edward VI, who is a pretty formidable foe, and eventually wins.
He does. He fights the Battle of Tewkesbury. And he's got a couple of friends. He is not only Edward, future Edward IV, who not quite yet, but he also has his brother Clarence and,
for now,
the great and glorious
Richard.
I'm
Future Richard III.
Richard Gloucester for now. I love all my family, especially my nephews. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
They aren't even born yet.
They will be, and I will love them so much. I would never kill them. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Hello, audience. I love you too. I will never kill you. I would never kill you. Oh, I would never kill you. Oh, yeah. Ah!
What do they do with Henry?
Oh, Henry.
He's just hanging out with his brother.
There's the Battle of Tewkesbury, and we win. And we capture the king, and we say, King, you're coming with us.
I feel that you're minimizing the role of Edward VI here.
Yeah, I am, because I'm so great. You're coming with me to the tower. And we take him to the tower, and we put him up there, and we're like, hey, Edward, guess what you are?
Henry.
No, Henry. You used to have a crown. Ooh, now it's my brother's. And I want to be clear here. I never betrayed my brother. I loved him so. Smooch, 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 smooch. Never, ever, ever. I went to York, and I was a good governor of York. Everyone loved me. They have a museum there, and it's really creepy. Really, really creepy. But he was king.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, it's so great. And he was a good king, and I loved him so. Smoochy, smoochy, smoochy.
I'm not so sure.
Oh, I forgot when he was in the tower. I killed him! Good!
Maybe.
And he had a son.
Maybe.
The Prince of Wales, Edward.
He might have died just from like being depressed.
And his name was Edward, and I killed him too. Oh, yes, I did. And he had a wife.
That's probably true.
And he had a wife, and I'm like, hello, I love you so. Won't you be my wife? I killed your father-in-law, and I killed your husband. I love you. Smooch, 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 smooch. And she says, yeah, I'm your wife now. And we were so happy. So happy. It was great.
Guess who's still alive?
Who? Oh.
And anyway, Edward the Sixth is king.
He is.
And I forgot where I was going
The
with that.
kids.
Ah! So he is an unpopular king. You got the wrong king up here, hon.
Oh, no.
Wait, here's Edward.
Oh, I killed him good.
He's an unpopular king. He's an unpopular king because he does not sort of like play ball with the wealthy. Most specifically, or maybe just sort of a case in point, is that he does not play ball with the Earl of Warwick, who is known as the Kingmaker. The Kingmaker had made plans for Edward VI to marry the heir to the French throne, or the lady heir to the French throne. Not the male heir to the French throne, because it was the late 1400s and marriage was between a man and a woman. Anyway, he has made these arrangements, the Kingmaker has, and instead of going through with these arrangements, Edward IV marries a random widow. A veritable nobody.
Woodville was her name. The Woodville widow.
And she's related to the House of Grey, and it's all gonna end badly for them. But anyway, like, they were madly in love. They had what is it when you run off and
Elope.
They had an elopement, and this quite humiliated.
Elope? Elope. Eflope. It's not elope. Oh.
Elope. This quite humiliated the Earl of Warwick. Anyway, because he married the wrong person, this is upsetting. And because he doesn't just sort of like concede power to them, this is upsetting. And so he's not really like doing a really good job of maintaining stability. And one of the things he does that I think is like not a very good idea is that he essentially is like, I won't charge you more taxes.
Huh?
Like, his way of maintaining peace was by not asserting dominance. And I just feel like that's not going to get you very far. At any rate, they had 3 children. They had 2 sons and a daughter. There are a lot of names on this whole thing, so I'm just going to give you the one that you need. His most important firstborn son's name, because of, laws of primogeniture, was Edward. Of course,
I loved him.
Everybody in this masturbatory way has to name their children after themselves. And then he has another son. And then he has a daughter
named Richard. Good
That's
son.
true. And then he has a daughter, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
So there are 3 children, and they're all very, very young. And this is the era when kings go and fight with their men in the front, which is also ridiculous, because could we imagine for a minute that, like, our presidents were going and fighting?
Obama would be awesome.
With our men.
He's great.
I mean, he's really great.
He'd be a great fighter. Very witty. Very charming. Good leader. Good general.
Which does you really well in an armored tank.
It does. If you're leading men, you don't want to be... This is getting off track.
It is. Okay, so he's going and he's fighting with his men as like sort of a warrior king, like his dad, but unlike Henry VI. And in these undertakings of sort of defending his crown, but also trying to regain the lands that England lost in France, when Henry VI was like,
very, very sad,
freaking out and sleeping a lot, he dies. No, I got it wrong the first time too. No, he fights a lot, and then he doesn't really win much. And then England's broke because they fought a lot, and he's not charging taxes. And then he gets fat, And then he gets lazy.
Oh.
Kind of like Henry VIII, but Henry VIII's supporter is falling asleep because we're really boring. We should
Not
shut
as
up
many
soon.
wives.
And then he dies of his bad behavior.
Uh-oh, who's gonna be king? He's got kids and they're like 6 years old. Uh-oh, I know. I'm the only surviving son because I killed my brother. Awkward. And
Are these the kids? Wait, no. These are
we've lost the kid. This is a kid. His name is Owl, a.k.a. Edward. And Edward is going to be a nice king someday, except that no good parliament says...
Did we forget to tell the story of the pretenders?
Not later,
That's
silly
later.
girl. And
drunk.
Parliament says, uh-oh, your parents weren't really married because that no good Margaret was actually married to somebody else. Therefore, you're a bastard.
That's so rude.
You are not king. Oh, I'm protector, Richard. And they say, since you're a bastard, I get to be king. Yes, I do. I'm king now, Richard III.
And so he throws his nephews
For protection.
into the Tower of London.
I do.
Maybe for their protection.
They can be nice and safe there.
Or maybe to sort of keep them out of sight so that
would
he can more
never.
effectively assert his dominance.
I did. I was king. Look at my crown. Oh, it's so sexy. Yeah. Oh. Oh, I love my crown. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nom, 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 nom.
And in the later years of Edward IV, his brother, there had been a lull in fighting.
Ooh, whiskey.
People were tired of fighting. But Richard III's acquisition of the throne reignites the War of the Roses. And now he has to defend his title.
Against who?
Well, for some interpretations, his own nephews.
Better kill them. Best to be sure. I mean, keep Carol in the tower. Who does he really have to fight, though?
Henry VII. At this point known as Henry Tudor.
No!
Do we have a Henry Tudor?
We do have a Henry Tudor. He is none other than Little J. Marsh.
Little J. Marsh.
Little J. Marsh is Henry Tudor. Very scary. She has a fork. Nom, nom, nom for a hand. We put her in the freezer. The hand fall off and she grow full.
Henry Tudor was a distant relative of the House of Lancaster. And his mom...
Grandmom.
No, his mom.
Mom. His grandmom was the widow of Henry V.
But his mom made arrangements with... Oh, that's not my one. Made arrangements with Edward the Fourth's
Edward the Fourth.
widow.
How many Edwards are there?
Edward the Fourth's widow was insulted. The love marriage. The woman from the love marriage.
The Woodvilles. They hated me.
Yeah, they did, because you were really rude.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. Where's my crown? My sexy crown. I love you.
She had struck a deal with...
Well, that nobleman. That's a nobleman of England. Salisbury? No, that's Tewkesbury.
No.
Tewkesbury is the battle.
That's the battle. No.
Kingsbury? No, that's a street in
We're not
Chicago. There's a nobleman who switches sides.
I've got his king as my hostage, and I forget to kill him. It's really sad.
There are disenfranchised members of the House of York who join Henry Tudor because they don't support this fellow.
Oh, but I've got
He's
the
got
flag.
his own family working against him.
Those bastards.
And ultimately, in the Battle of Bosworth Field, Henry VII is victorious over Richard III.
Only because I was too courageous. Yeah, what happened was I saw that no good Henry VII. He was alone with his men, and I'm like, I know we can defeat him, but let's end the bloodshed. Once and for all, we charge! Oh, I lost my crown and my head.
And it's worth noting that Henry Tudor would not have been able to just sort of pluck the crown, literally pluck the crown, and place it on his own head and become king if the heirs to the throne had not been murdered by their uncle. in the Tower of London some years before. Actually, earlier that year.
They were murdered by Henry II to keep his throne. I kept my nephews safe and sound after Parliament declared them bastards.
They were not murdered by me. I did not have access to them.
He totally had access to them after he killed me and took my crown.
They might have died of pneumonia. That much is true.
Pneumonia killed everyone. It killed me. Not in battle. No. I was a good fighter.
I found your body.
You're
dead.
They put me in a church.
And you're dead. And you're dead.
Put me in a...
You're dead. You're dead. And Henry VII.
They found me like 3
governs
years
England,
ago.
and he's like pretty successful at governing England. He's like pretty successful.
He declares himself king. I got a gavel.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh yeah, you just beat up an Edward Gorey book.
Well, I'm gonna beat it up.
He declares himself king.
King.
And he is able to do any number of things that create peace. He tames the nobility.
Lenny, would you mind filming our Henry VIII after and how very engaging we have been?
This is what we've done because we're boring as fuck.
Turn back to us, please. Turn back to us. We've lost the Raven and lost the consciousness of my dear sweet. Well, where is Henry VIII?
Because this story, I think when we tell it, makes people want to carry themselves.
Slit their bellies, throat to throat. Is that what you're doing? Stop
Throat
watching.
To throat?
Get assistance. If you're thinking of committing suicide, go see a doctor, specifically Dr.
Richard III. I'll help you through... I want my crown. No, it's yours. Why?
Okay, I think we've told this story.
So that's the War of the Roses. Landon! How much have you learned tonight, Landon? Please speak up so they can hear you.
Yeah.
I've learned something.
I think we thought this would go better than it did.
Really? This is pretty much how I thought it was going to go.
Okay.
I've done this before. I once drank brandy wine. It's where you have a glass of brandy and you put beer in it, and you call it brandy wine. Because that's a battle with Washington. No, brandy beer. It's... Oh. Look at this. Don't stand up, Hedley. This is a king, but it doubles as a sword. We were going to have a sword fight?
Sword fight.
Where's your sword?
I gave it to you just now.
Oh, let's have a sword fight. All right, we're going to have a sword fight.
Am I not supposed to stand? You just stood.
All right, sword
Are
fight.
you allowed to stand?
This is the War of the Roses in sword fight form. All right.
Am I going to kill you?
No, don't kill me. Jesus, we're drunk. Look at this. Oh,
I'm very passive for a war.
And I am dead, for I am Richard III. So, ladies and gentlemen, I like to think this has been Get down, Jesus! You've been drinking!
I'm victorious.
The House of Plantagenet fell, and the House of Tudor, boo, took over. And that was the end. That's our story.
That's our story.
We really hope you've enjoyed it. Landon, did you enjoy it?
It was entertaining.
Yeah, I'm always entertaining. Because I'm the King of England, and Scott's my heir. He's the descendant of Richard the Mason, my bastard son. He's gonna take over the
We
kingdom.
totally forgot some good stories because we
did.
were drunk.
What is best story we can research it later? We've forgotten what stories we've forgotten. And I should add, put to sleep, my dear sweet wife. We love you, so I love you. Good night, sweet listener. You made it through all 40 minutes. My God. We love you so much, and
I love you too. I'll murder you.
I woke up and found
Murder you!